right here at this table because you guys are talking and I don't really understand what it is that you guys are saying. Like seriously, I don't get it. The only thing that a lot of people who have families, who carpool, who go to and from the work, who live in the suburbs, who live in the cities, they're just wondering when things are going to get bad. That's what they're wondering. And all of the macroeconomic talk is going over their head. And honestly, I feel for them. I feel for them because it doesn't seem like anyone is talking directly to them. They're talking to the markets, they're talking to each other, they're talking to the financial system, but no one's telling somebody, hey, at the end of the summer, when you need to buy school supplies for your kids to go back to school when it's backpack time, like that money will be there and those prices will be stable. No one is talking to them. And I think that's the biggest tragedy in all of this.
The truth to be told to them, most people don't want to say. Because we had it today from Jerome Powell, chair of the Fed. For the first, he said there will be higher inflation, there will be slower growth. So the real sadness tonight is the people at home who are looking to retire.
Absolutely.
In the next year or two, and have suddenly seen their retirement funds go down by 20, 30, 40%. Because they wanted to take advantage of the Magnificent Seven and all of those sort of things. Tonight they're wondering, how the heck do I actually do it? This is real life economics, to your point. You're right. The sort of nonsense that we can all go on about.
Oh, it's not nonsense.
Well,
I'm just saying,
but it's totally true because you're making a really important point. There is not some kind of 360 plan that has been articulated to America here. You know, Trump said, well, we're going to have to take a little pain. What does that mean? Who's taking the pain? The average working person will be taking the pain because when inflation hits, those are the people that spend 60% of their take home in energy and food, fueling their cars. I mean, we're going to be in a very, very difficult situation.
I find it insane that we're all finally concerned about inflation. That was a word that really didn't exist for many years while Joe Biden was president. But I want to point out something. Last night, Richard, you took off your shoe. You said it's made in Vietnam. It's going to be 34% more expensive next year. Today, the Secretary General of Vietnam reached out to President Trump and said, we want to have zero tariffs for both countries, proving to some degree that this is a leverage play.
What does that prove, Joe?
It proves.
What does that prove? Because at the end of the conversation, the president said, "Nice talking to you," and nothing about, "Oh, we're gonna have a deal, lower our tariffs."
I'm going to tell you what it proves.
He said, "Great conversation."
Let's look historically. In 1996, there was a member of Congress who stood on the floor looking at 2% tariffs we had on China, 35% tariffs they had on us. This woman demanded that we had reciprocal tariffs. You know who that was? Nancy Pelosi. 2008, same thing. A guy stood on the Senate floor lamenting. I'm just saying, they lamented the loss of America's workers.
Lowered its tariff barrier to 0. You know what we did? We raised our tariff barrier to 17%.
Again, just going back. Democrats have repeatedly said, I have a list of quotes here, repeatedly said we should have reciprocal tariffs on different countries and did nothing. They're a party of Cory Bookers. Let's just talk and not do anything.
You talk about the Vietnam. I'm so glad you brought up Vietnam. And I'll also bring up Cambodia. The problem with going to 0 tariffs with Vietnam and Cambodia, great. First of all, US exports almost next to nothing to those countries. It's negligible. It's less than 500 million. But let's assume you go to 0. The problem with both of those countries is not the nominal tariff rate of 30%, 15%. It's the non-tariff barriers, the government procurement rules, the ownership rules, everything else that Donald Trump quite rightly said on Wednesday. Quite rightly.
He took his shoe off. He said it's going to be 34% more expensive because of the tariff. Today, the Secretary General, forgive me, I forget the party name the president's called Donald Trump and said, we want to actually negotiate.
But that's not going to help.
That would be favorable. That would be favorable. The problem is Democrats have been promising this. Bernie Sanders used to call free trade a right-wing conspiracy or something like that. Never did anything about it.
Oh, right? I'm sorry. I got to beg to differ because here's the history. And I'm going to give both sides some credit. Trump won. Bob Lighthizer, the USTR, comes in and says, you know what? We got to rejigger the global trading system. It was a good thing to say. Tariffs on China, fine. Biden keeps those. Then he actually articulates a real industrial policy. He says, what do we need most of all in this country? Chips. We brought back the semiconductor industry in 18 months. That's how you do this. Trump now comes in, and he had, let me finish, he had an opportunity here actually, given the strength of the US economy at this moment, to really work with allies and say, this is the time, Europe, Canada, Mexico, we're going to go to China and say, here's the new game and here's how it's going to be played. He didn't do that. He is squandering our.
Did I not see